Welcome in to our second ShiftMate Roundtable. My name is Mike. I am the founder of Your Driver Mike. I look very similar to the profile picture. Yeah, that's me, the founder of Your Driver Mike and the founder of ShiftMate. So here's what ShiftMate is, if you have no idea what this is. So if you're a gig worker, any app, any niche, this is the app that you're going to want to download to help you track, not only for yourself, but for taxes, track your earnings, optimize your earnings, learn, explore, hear from others. And I think what's interesting about ShiftMate, because no one else is doing this, that it's the only app as well that is actually a gig app in itself. So you can actually earn money on ShiftMate as well. So I want to go over in these roundtables really just to take your feedback on ShiftMate. You can sign up on our waitlist at shiftmateapp.com. Just the new features that we're going over as we prep for launch. That's what the title of this video is. So we're looking to launch in early October. And you can see here, I'm going to go over this with you today, just what's new. All of the new features, how it works, what we're changing. We're taking your feedback. We're cleaning up bugs basically right now. And as we prep this for that October launch. So what you need to do, go to shiftmateapp.com. You can reserve your spot at our launch pricing before pricing goes up. After launch, pricing will go up here. Monthly, save 15% by going annual or lifetime. There's limited spots on that if you don't want a subscription. So with all that being said, let's go over ShiftMate and what we've been changing here. So as you can see, here's the app. This is ShiftMate. Now, if I'm looking at this as a gig worker, here's my home screen. Now I can toggle between, this month. I can select dates if I want to look at a custom range. I can look at today and then back to this week. Now, keep in mind, this is in our test flights, Apple testing ecosystem. So we're still going to clean up bugs and stuff like that. So if you see bugs and whatnot, that's what that is. So if I'm looking at this on my home screen, and we're looking at this as a premium user here, this is high level stuff, right? My earnings change week over week. And then the app's going to track the apps that you're using. And it's going to suggest the best apps, best location, high level opportunities. And then we have deeper insights here in the Insights tab. But I want to show you what we just changed. So check this out. All you have to do, if you worked today, is tap on this plus button. And we've actually added, I love this, a business expense area. So for those gig workers that want to take an actualized expense method, because there's two ways of doing this basically when it comes to taxes. There is a standard mileage deduction. So, ShiftMate, it's going to give you reports of your mileage and stuff like that. But if I record my business miles, when I'm online, if you're online on a gig app, any gig, like, rideshare, grocery, parcel, food delivery, those are business miles. Because you're online intending to do business. Even if you don't have an assignment, then at least you're still online for the gig app. But you can actually do an actualized expense method, but you just have to save every single receipt. So you're going to have to talk to your CPA or tax professional. I can't give you legal tax advice. I'm not a business attorney. I'm not a CPA. If this is the first time you and I are meeting, I've been doing gig work for about 10 years now in different marketplaces, thousands and thousands of trips and transactions across most every single app and niche. So some of you may want that expense. Let's just run through it, okay? Check it out. So if you want to record your expenses, even if you're not honestly taking the actualized expense method, you can still do this if you want. If you have just make sure you're not deducting specific line item expenses if you're doing the standard mileage deduction. So standard mileage deduction, say I drove 5,000 miles for business in the year. I take 5,000 miles times the IRS standard deduction for business miles, operating a vehicle for business. 2025, it's 70 cents. So I just take my tracked business miles in ShiftMate, 5,000 times 70 cents. That is my deduction. That's going to offset my taxable income. So say I grossed, 30,000 on all my gig apps for the year. So you take that minus that deduction amount, then that is your net taxable income. Anyway, so say I was doing like an oil change, right? So call it whatever you want, name your expense. When did I incur the expense? Say I got it done on Monday. Super simple. Enter an expense category. So think about, what are your business expenses for gig work? So I could have a dash cam. It's an accessory. I could have cleaning supplies. I could have floor mats. I could have, what do they call it? Emesis bags or something, like sick bags if you're doing rideshare. Welcome to rideshare. I could have like pepper spray. I could have, just other tools for the job, for your vehicle, right? Delivery bags, catering bags. Now vehicle, I'm going to select vehicle because oil change. Insurance or other, okay? Just for your reporting purposes. So how much was the oil change? I don't know, $80, whatever it is. 80-25, doesn't really matter. Okay. Add any attachments. Fantastic for record keeping, because like on the super off chance that you get audited, you need to have a record of your actual business expenses. So when you run the reports, this is going to be stored for you. So like you have to have a record of your miles or expenses or whatnot. So you have that, and then you have doubly kind of evidence of that. You have evidence that you actually incurred the expense with the receipts. Any additional notes? You can see here, there's an example, got my oil changed at 10,252, whatever, 3 miles. How do you spell it? Valvoline? Whatever you want to do, right? Submit. Now, we actually updated, and we're constantly updating this, so make sure to check out ShiftMate at the link below, but we're going to actually add a confirmation screen after that, and it's going to instruct you where to view your expenses as well. So if you're someone that wants to view your expenses, come up here to the menu, click on your little icon there, go into data, and we have expense reports right here. So here's how you view your expense reports. Very simple. Now we also have your general, we actually added this as well. So this is new. So we added this general reports feature right here. It's under your data section. Now this is exactly as the name implies. So you can see here, this is for your tax reporting. So our free users, you get our basic report for free. So it's wonderful. You're going to have the mileage. You're going to have the app worked. You're going to have that, basic tracking. So you're going to bring that basic tax report to your CPA or tax professional or H&R Block, whoever it is. So you'll show them, yep, DoorDash, I drove X amount of miles. Uber Eats, it's all in your ShiftMate reporting right there, which is pretty great. Because some of these companies, they'll give you some kind of mileage. They'll say in the app, it's not on your 1099 NEC, by the way. So a 1099 NEC, non-employee compensation, is a report that the gig apps send you. They send it by like January. It's a deadline for that. Like usually it's December, January. But it doesn't include mileage. If it does, you need to still double check that that's accurate. So this is going to pull from your data in ShiftMate. Now that premium analytics report, you're going to want that if you're really vested in your earnings. If you really want to know truly how much you're making, which should be everybody, or maybe you just will learn better with a spreadsheet, tables, or if you want to use that as a double check, just to compare that with what ShiftMate is saying. Because ShiftMate will give you deeper insights as a premium user, but that premium report will take all of those insights, but put it in like a chart, a table. So you can kind of cross-reference that if you like, if that's how you learn best. But you get that included if you're a premium user. So we added that reports feature. But anyway, the expense reports, same kind of thing. If you take the actualized expense method, you're going to export this. It's a standard, like CSV file. So you'll export that and you can show your CPA or tax professional, hey, let's look at the actualized expense method. Here's all my expenses by category. And here's the receipts. Perfect. Everything's documented. There you go. So pretty sweet. So we added that. That's number one. And I appreciate you being here. Let me know where you're watching from. So import, 7-figure, thanks for being here. So exporting is exporting out of the app. Importing is importing into the app. That's a fantastic question. I can look into that with my developer. Because if we're importing data, we would need to make sure that the format of your CSV can be captured by and read by ShiftMate to import it. But it would make sense because, well, I'm going to do it right now. I'm going to run through a shift with you. So we'll say. Hey, Ryan, thanks for being here. If there was an all-inclusive app that allowed you to log into all your gig work sites in one place, and when you accept an offer, yeah, pause in other platforms. I get it. So with that, it's tricky because what you're describing, and I'm not like a tech genius, that's why I use my developer, but there's API calls. So that's basically communication with your app, communicating to the back end of their app or platform or website. It's an API call. Now with APIs, it's restricted by what the company allows. So, DoorDash has APIs, companies can link in to the Dasher, well, the DoorDash network at large. Uber has APIs, a lot of these companies have, APIs, but it's gated, it's limited. So I don't know if one app would be able to link in a way that it works with their API restrictions. And that's not quite what we're going for. So ShiftMate, again, it's a performance tracking optimization app. You're going to learn, optimize, etc. We really want to make sure that you're covering all your bases and you're maximizing your earnings. So look, let's go back into here. So here's our new screen. And by the way, this is a roundtable. I like those questions. So if you have more questions, let me know. Thank you to the over 130 pre-orders already. That means a lot that you have faith in what we're doing here at ShiftMate. And coming up on 1,000 on our general email list as well. We've only been open for like a month. So thank you. You have my commitment that this is going to be every ounce of what I can put into this to develop a quality product for you. Okay, let's go into a work shift. Here's all you do. Let's go back to Monday. Well, if I got my oil changed on Monday, maybe I didn't work on Monday. Well, you know what? I already have data in here from this past week right here. Yeah, we could add to the same week. Why not? This is data from my Grubhub shift. I actually did a video on this. So we'll look into the data here in a second. But let's add a work shift. Let's just say I work the next day. Let's say I work Tuesday. Why not? Okay, so what apps did you use? So you can type in, right, the app, just like this, and it'll pop up. I think we're adding, yeah, we already have a custom field as well. So you can enter any app or platform, anything, because we have a custom field. We can enter that in. We just listed 30 of the most popular gig apps, but you can search, and if it's not in there, you can just put custom. So say I did DoorDash. What time did I work on Tuesday? Let's say we'll say dinner rush. So say I did 5 p.m. And now I'm on a computer right now, so it's a little bit not as intuitive as if you were tapping around here. So I'm moving a little bit slower. And I went 3 hours until 8 p.m. Okay. Now what all areas of the marketplace you worked. Here's what's going to maximize your earnings. So if you've never thought about this, this is why we included this. And we have a little information icon here. Understanding trends in specific areas of your market can help uncover the best areas to work. Exactly. Now, these are general areas. I mean, your city has a downtown. Your city has a north side, south side, literally just geographically there. But we also have custom down here as well. So if you want to enter, I worked in whatever, Little Italy, this area, that area, you can type that in there as well. Now, you'll have your own system. This is your data. We're customizing ShiftMate for you. So when I say downtown, I just mean central Pittsburgh, because I'm working here in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. So I always put downtown. North side, that's by the stadium. South side, that's literally the south side down there where the bars are. So you'll tweak this to your liking. So how much money did I make on DoorDash for 3 hours? Well, I did pretty good. Let's say I did $62.45, okay? And if you try to type more than that, it won't let you. So formatting's all solid. Again, if there's any bugs, we'll make sure to clean it up there. So how many individual assignments? So say I did 3 hours, I'm doing 2 assignments an hour, that would be 6 assignments. Say I did like 7 assignments. Now, why are we asking for this? Again, we have an info icon here. I do want you to break down stacked orders individually. Again, if you feel like we should change that, or if you want us to do it a different way, let us know. Tags on expenses, appreciate that. Yeah, tags would be cool. I could definitely see that. The reason I want you to break down stacked orders individually when you're counting your assignments is because most of these gig apps do as well. So when DoorDash reports it, they don't say you did like 3 offers. They say you did 6 deliveries. So even these companies are breaking it down. So anyway, say I did 7 total offers, right? How many individual tips did you receive? Now this does support multi-apping. So if you did multiple apps on the same day and the same time, then it'll just ask you like the next app that you did basically. So if I did 7 deliveries, say I got 5 tips. Then how much money did I earn from tips? What did I do? Like $61? So my goal for you is to have 50% typically of your revenue coming from tips. So 50% base pay and promotional pay, and then 50% from tips. So that's telling you that you're working, that you're working with good customer service, that you're communicating delays, that you're going from A to B, you're not wasting time doing other stuff. 100%, you can't always control, you can't control customer tips. So clearly keep that in mind. I did, let's say $25, a little higher, we'll say $28, $20.25 in tips. How many business miles? And we can see here, business miles are defined as online miles driven while intending to do business, et cetera, et cetera. And again, just like I said earlier, it may or may not be when you're actively on a work assignment. If you're online, if you're intending to do business, it is business miles. Doesn't matter if you have an assignment or not. So I think we did a really good job of adding some guidance because like not everyone is going to know the intricacies of gig work. So this is meant to walk you through everything. So by the way, there's a referral program as well. I'm excited for that. So that's another way for you to earn money. You'll earn $10 for every single premium user you refer with no limit. So that's a great feature that we baked in there. I did, I don't know, 25. I was super efficient, 25.2. And this one, yes, is 1 decimal spot because that's what your odometer typically tracks. I'm also kind of double checking my dev's work on the back end as well. We meet weekly. And again, he's doing a great job and we're really powering away here. Now this little P icon, I don't love it. I think it looks like a parking symbol, but that's our premium user denotation. So that indicates these are questions that only our premium users are going to get. So this is what goes into your deeper insights. Again, that's the design that I had made. So maybe we'll tweak that little logo. But so let's go a little deeper. On the total business miles that you drove, how many were on an active assignment? Look, I understand you may not know. So that's why I say, look, just provide an estimate. You know, this is for your data at a high level or a deep level. This is just your data. Even I'd have to think about it. I just give an estimate. So how do you give an estimate? Okay, 25.2 miles were on business. So think about how much you drove around. Or were you parked and waiting? So I'll typically say, like, all right, I didn't really drive around a lot. Oh yeah, I did have to drive back into the zone that one time. That was about 5 miles. I'll just say like, yeah, 20 miles. That's fine. These are estimates for your deeper insights. Of the 3 hours you worked today, how many hours and minutes were you actively on an assignment? So this is going to measure your downtime. This is another premium metric because I want to know how much time are you wasting? How much downtime is there? Time where you're not actively on an assignment. Same kind of thing. If you don't know, that's fine. So I did what, 3 hours today? So say I was waiting around for about like 30 minutes of that shift. So I was waiting around for like 2 hours. Oh, I'm sorry. 2 hours and 30 minutes is when I was on an assignment. I was waiting for 30 minutes. Again, that's an estimate. So we'll put that in. How many times have you pulled outside of your ideal work zone? Now, this can be the actual sub marketplace or just your desired work zone. Again, this is catered to you. You know where your ideal zone is. And that's why I like what we're building here, because you'll know this is literally catered for you. So start to think about that. Like, what's my ideal work zone? Well, I like to stay within 30 minutes of my house. So, you know, that's what you want. Now, maybe even if you work in a different part of the city, still you have a little radius typically. Like, I don't want to be pulled 25 minutes away from here because I got to get back for like a meeting, or I got to get back to pick up the kid or something like that. So I was pulled away like once. Now, if we submit, it's going to save that data, and now we're all set. So we can change this to, well, actually we did it for Tuesday, didn't we? So it's not today. Today's Saturday at the time of filming this, but that's okay. We can go right here, and here's our data. Okay, so that's how to enter a shift. Now, listen, if you're thinking like, that takes too long, and or like, aren't there some apps that auto sync your data? No and yes. No to your first question. Did that take long? No. It takes like 30 seconds, 45 seconds. The only reason it might seem long is because I'm walking you through it. And like any single software you've ever used, it takes time to get the hang of it. And then after you like know the questions, boom, 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 boom. It takes like 30, 45 seconds for me typically. Just have your app open, you cross-reference. And then number two, don't some apps sync data? Yeah, I've used them all, and they're all not 100% accurate. You know what is accurate is you actually pulling directly from your actual data, because you're the one driving. Now, again, you know, we're humans, we make mistakes. That's why you can edit any shift data. But we're going with a manual entry method first because number one, what gets measured gets improved. And if you're letting stuff run on autopilot, it's like not checking your bank account ever. And you see something in there from months ago when you finally go in there like 6 months later and you're like, oh, what is that charge? It's the same kind of thing. If you're not in here, if you're not willing to invest 45 seconds entering in your shift data to make sure that it's accurate, you know, this might not be for you. I want to make sure that your shift data is accurate. So that's why we're doing it the way we're doing it right now. And Beck says, yeah, I hate being pulled outside of the zone. So, well, actually, that's a great segue. Let's go into some data here. Now, you know what? Actually, let me show you one more new thing that we did. Yeah, we put it down here. No, we didn't. Oh, here it is. Yeah. So some of you, if you're working in a tri-state or kind of on the border marketplace, we heard from you that you want to enter your data from your different markets and be able to track that. So right here under data entry preferences, you can toggle on and off asking for the city information. I don't know if it'll change. Let's see if it'll change live. I forget what we did. Yeah, I think we have to refresh it maybe for a change or something. Again, this is on test flight. This isn't on an iPhone, so that's a little bit different. We'll check on that. Anyway, if I go into here, it will ask me for the city that I'm driving in. Because, you know, if you live between New Jersey, New York, you're going to want to track that. And there might be some tax implications. You know, I don't know. I'm not a CPA. But if you turn this on, it'll ask you, when you're entering a shift, what city you're driving in, specifically, if you want to track that. And even within, I guess, your own state, if for whatever reason you're like driving in multiple cities in your state, you might like that. Okay, I'm going to go over the data, but I did want to see if there's anything else new. Yes. Yeah, you know what? Let me show you something else new. So let's actually do a multi-apping shift. Let's say it was on Thursday and I did DoorDash and I did Uber Eats. We should have done this as the first example, but that's okay. We'll just do it real quick now. So I did 3 hours, 2 to 5. Downtown. DoorDash was the main earner. So what did I say? 3 hours. So say I did like $50. 3 hours, that was 4 assignments on DoorDash. I got all tips. We did, how much money did we say? 40 bucks? I forget. So like $20 from tips, 20 miles. And then here's the multi-apping question. So Uber, say I did one offer. So Uber Eats was one offer, right? I got one tip. They did tip. They tipped $4. And then business miles, it was a $10 offer. So say it was like at a 5.1 miles. And let's see, I did most of my miles were actively on an assignment. I did not have to wait that long for an actual assignment usually. So I didn't have a lot of downtime. We'll say I only had like 15 minutes of downtime. So wait a minute, it's gotta be like that. Of my 3 hours, only 15 minutes were a downtime. I did not get pulled out of my zone. And then now on Uber. So you can see this is the multi-app in here. On Uber, all of them were actually on an assignment. I didn't have to drive anywhere to get my next assignment. And same question here. How much downtime did we have? I don't know if we necessarily have to ask this again on multi-apping shifts, so I can make a note of that. I was not pulled out of my zone either on Uber Eats. Now this is saving. Okay, so what I wanted to show you, oh look, we just unlocked an achievement. Yeah, why not? Let's show you. Look, we have this neat little trophy room for achievements. So the way to get it is go into the menu. I think it's under incentives. Yeah, right here. So bonuses and badges. Now, if you're someone that wants to hit certain goals, earnings goals, metrics, using ShiftMate, we actually have some premium goals specifically for our premium users. Look at this. We have like tipping goals, high tip frequency, pay rate and stuff like that. We have a bunch of stuff here specifically for referrals. Then you're going to like this. And some of these, I believe, unlock free months of premium. So A, it's a fun thing to do, but B, it'll actually earn you free months of premium for some of these. That's pretty cool. Okay, but what I wanted to show you was this right here. Just a little heads up, there's a little bug right here. It says 12 a.m. That's a known bug. We're going to fix that. So here's our multi-apping shift. Here's what multi-apping looks like. So if I tap on any one of these, let me close it. Look, it expands the daily view. So that's how you see the daily view. But look, here's what multi-apping looks like on the app. I like this. This is pretty sweet. So at the high level, it'll say multi-apping shift, right? Multiple apps. There's my gross revenue, 60 bucks. And it says the time I started, 2 p.m., 3 hours. There's my mileage, 2 apps, 5 assignments. Super great, high level stuff. You know, we're building this to help you regardless of how you want to look at it. If you want to be in here for like a minute or two a day, boom, 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 look at my data, there it is. You know? Or if you want to be in here for like 30 minutes a day, then you can be in here and really comb through your data. So if I expand this, then it gives me an expanded view of my multi-apping shift. So it'll say you did DoorDash and Uber Eats over this time. And this is for our free users. So you can break down, you know, what was this shift? How much did I earn? Which one is earning me more? And if I click on the little note card there, I can actually edit it as well. So if tips rolled in later, Like on Uber Eats, well, Uber Eats tips settle after an hour, but on Walmart Spark specifically, like Spark tips don't come in until later. They're not confirmed until later. Catering, sometimes catering, the tips have to settle in there. I know on Poplin, laundry washing, everyone's favorite, right? Tips don't get added until later. So you can go back in here and edit for any kind of tip or something that came in. And again, there's an error. That's a known thing. That's on Test Pilot. That's not on the actual app. So this nicely breaks it down by the multi-app in there. So we just added that as well. Now let's go into the premium insights and show you what this looks like. Now, this is going to be the powerhouse if you really want to understand your earnings. This is why you would want to sign up for a premium account. Well, there's one of several premium features here, but this is the meat and potatoes of what's going to help you make more money. Understand your earnings, understand specific apps. So in here, I'm looking at the weekly view right now. Obviously, we see high level stuff, week over week. I can change this to month over month. Don't pay attention to the numbers. Some of these numbers here, some of these numbers are just for example. So, you see minus something, it looks crazy. Anyway, this data is accurate. Well, we did just add some examples here, but let's just look at this past week. Okay. Here is our grading scale. This is kind of what I'm most proud of. This is what no one is even coming close to doing here. No one is helping you understand at a granular level what needs to change with your gig work. Not only that, not only measuring how you're performing, but where you should be and why it matters. This is on ShiftMate. Make sure to sign up, shiftmateapp.com. You can sign up for our free email waitlist, or you can reserve your spot right now at our launch pricing before it goes up after our October launch. Thank you to those who have already pre-ordered. Also annual versions. Well, the annuals, I'm trying to remember if we I don't think that's active yet, because we don't want to bill you now and then renew a year from now when it's not, we haven't launched yet. So annual, if you're waiting on that, just wait a little bit more, like a month or so, and you can sign up for that. But we do have lifetime plans available, and that is at a limited basis. Once those are gone, those are gone. Because I know some people don't want to pay a subscription, get a lifetime membership. Every single plan, including lifetime, has a 30-day money-back guarantee. It's a no-brainer if you want to save over the long run, if you do gig work full-time, even if you plan on doing it for the next 2 years or so, it'll still pay for itself over annual or monthly. So consider that a lifetime plan if you'd like. So here's my earnings, including our examples from this past week. So I'm looking at the basics of dollars per mile. Now it explains why it matters. Right here, it gives you an even deeper insight into why it matters, literally titled Why It Matters. So it explains everything. This is meant if you know someone that's starting gig work, or if you're just starting, you can cancel anytime. We're not locking you into any contracts. If you go monthly, you can cancel anytime. So it explains why this stuff matters, and it gives you, well, let's go back to this week here. I'm noticing that bug too, where this week comes up as 0 and I got to go back to it. So I'll make a note of that. But it explains where you should be at. So my mileage rate, this is based on what I want you to hit. 10 years of working in the gig space, talking with thousands of gig workers like you. So I want you to be at the green level, $1.75 paid out per mile. And then there's the fair, and then there's need improvement. Why? It's because, again, I mentioned earlier, it's 70 cents per business mile. That 70 cents encompasses the general operating cost of a vehicle for business. That's what the IRS uses that for, that 70 cents. Generally, with insurance, with repairs, with gas, generally it's 70 cents in 2025. And again, it'll be up to you if you want to do the optional standard mileage deduction or the actualized expense method. Now, I've heard from you let me know if you'd like a custom field for that, because we've gotten some feedback where you would like to customize this field. And at least what I'm thinking we're going to do is to have 2 presets. So a standard range, which is this, and then maybe I don't know what we'd call it, a suburban market. So either suburban or rural markets range. We might call it suburban, like a preset. It's, a preset. It's like it's just that. It's preset metrics. So you could just tap the preset of suburban and it'll adjust not only this, but all of these metrics in their respective ranges. Because I've heard from you, let me know what kind of marketplace you're driving in, metro, suburban, or rural. There's 3 presets we could have right there for you. So we could have presets or we could allow you to customize that. And then that goes into our algorithm and it gives you an overall score. Shown here. So if I'm the gig worker on our premium plan, I will use this. I can scroll down here to see even more app trends. We can see what's going on with your earnings, with your tips, with downtime. Okay. But if I want to go even deeper, I can click right here into our deeper insights field. Now here it's going to get the deepest data into a customized action plan for you. Now we're still tweaking this. So you're going to see some kind of wonky things here, like 51 an hour, et cetera, et cetera. So that's something that we're working on. We're cleaning up, coming up on the launch here. But this is going to look at all of the data that you entered and giving you exactly that, an action plan. Here's the best apps to drive that we're noticing based on your specific marketplace. That's the biggest question that I get is like, I help you make money in different side hustles. I like your videos. That's great. It's teaching me the best practices. That's why you can't ignore either of these, because the channel, your Driver Mike, brand and channel teaches you the best practices, also hopefully in an entertaining way. But ShiftMate is the perfect pairing for that, because then it goes granular for your specific data. So I'd live in here. I say, okay, Grubhub's working for me right now. I'm averaging this. Best times to work based on my specific data. During these times, I'm averaging this and that. And again, it's a little wonky. That's fine. We'll fix it. Or this time or that time, I'm averaging this and that. We have more trends even. Apps on the rise. Here's where we're going to see even more data based on the most powerful thing that you care about. Your data, not someone else's driving tendencies and apps. It's your data in your marketplace. So, hey, this went up, tips went up, specifically, let's say on Grubhub, saying, hey, the highest one was on Grubhub. So you can be in here and go even deeper with our action plan. So I hope you see value in that. And as we kind of wrap it up here, let me know any final questions you have about ShiftMate. I just wanted to go over some of the recent changes that we're adding in the past week here. So a few other things as we wrap it up here, just on our second roundtable update. A few other things we're looking at. We are looking into dark mode, and we are launching first on iOS. If you're on Android, that's okay. If you want to sign up for our waitlist on Android, go ahead, sign up. We plan to hopefully launch Android sometime next year. I would love Q2, but maybe tentatively we'll say Q3 of 2026 for Android. And dark mode on iOS, that is something that the coding software that my developer is using, it will have to be manually it's assisted coding, right? It's not all manual coding, but that will have to be hard coded. There's no toggle to automatically make this stuff dark mode. But I know if you're working at night, et cetera, you might want a dark mode. So we're working on those two things. And we're working on visualizations for your reports as well. And again, no one's even doing that. So not only will we give you the tax reporting, but your actual, right here, your data reports. So premium users, you're going to get visuals as well. So if you're a visual learner, you'll have ShiftMate data, export data, visual data. So whichever way you want to learn, you can do that. But lastly, I was looking at some community features as well. So let's go over here to resources. Okay. And we can see the P icon here for our premium users. Click on that. Super powerful. I mean, this is something else that no one's doing. Chas asks, how do you suggest we track our miles separately for each app when you multi-app? Great question. So you can, what I typically do is I simply reset my trip odometer when I am driving. And that's even when I'm multi-apping. So when I record it, think about the offers that you got. So you can look in the app. The app's going to tell you, hey, in your trip history, this trip was like 7.1 miles. And then you can just think to yourself, well, I drove 38 miles today. 7 miles were on, Grubhub, and that's all I did today. So there you go. I mean, you did one assignment on Grubhub. I don't think we really need to overthink it. So when it comes to tracking your mileage for taxes, the IRS wants to see accurate and at least some, well, obviously accurate reporting. They want to see reporting. These companies are going to send you a 1099 NEC, that non-employee compensation. It's going to show your earnings on it. And then your CPA, your tax professional, TurboTax, however you're doing it, it's going to ask, how many miles did you drive for DoorDash? How many miles did you drive for Grubhub? If it's not within each app perfectly accurate, that's okay. What is more so important, the mileage in general that you're going to be sending over, your overall documentation of mileage needs to be accurate. So if I said I did was it 3.7 or 3.9 for Grubhub? What's more important is you're accurately recording all of your business miles. And you'll find that on your trip odometer. Zero that thing out when you go online, record the number when you go offline. And that's the number. And then when you're in ShiftMate, you can break it down by app. If you want to go more granular, if you want to have separate counters, you can. You can record your miles for DoorDash and then write down that number. When you get an offer for Grubhub, if you want to write down the different numbers, you can. I don't think many people are doing that, but if you want to break it down like that, you can. Now, in compare apps here, like I was saying, this alone is worth it as a premium user. No other app is doing this, including everything else that we're doing here. So if I want to compare Uber, now I do want to add separately Uber Eats. It's tricky because Uber Eats and rideshare, it's under the same app. So we might break that up, Uber and Uber Eats. But for clarity purposes, let's do Grubhub just to compare. So now as a gig worker at a high level, because your time is valuable, you can go into compare apps and I can look at features, requirements, qualifications, anything like that, how they're paying, when they're paying, frequency of pay, and I can see it in this compare apps feature. Now, even at the bottom here, there's resources. So if I want to read over the independent contractor agreement, pretty important, open it and it opens up in your web browser. That's going to save you hours and hours and hours right there. There's no trying to Google stuff, trying to ask GPT, but sometimes it's wrong, or they send you the wrong link. If you want descriptions, comparisons, you can do it right here. If you want resources to go over actual documents, you can do it right there. Very excited about that. So these are actual examples from, these companies. These are examples from videos that, we've produced here. And that's all under compare apps. But one new feature I was thinking about adding was a voting feature. Like, let's just look at DoorDash. So what I would like to see, what we'll probably add in here is right maybe here at the top, adding a section that says best practices. So instantly you can learn what are the best practices. So it may say something like typically busiest during dinner rush, or typical max peak pay is around $3, something like that. And again, that's after talking with thousands of gig workers. But here's the deeper part that I was trying to get at, is I would love to add a voting feature. So you could vote on what you recommend. So then the user could go in here and it would say busiest during dinner rush, or busiest from 5 p.m. until 8 p.m. or peak pay maximum averages $3. And what we would have is like a thumbs up, thumbs down on that comment. And the user could see 86% of users recommend this best practice or agree with this best practice. Or maybe you could even vote on adding your own best practices. So then the user goes in here after months and years. We build this database of fellow gig workers, and it says, yeah, this is recommended. Or even at a high level, I was even thinking of right here, maybe a thumbs up, thumbs down on either side of this, or maybe below it having thumbs up, thumbs down, to say 74% of users recommend this gig app. I think that's super powerful. And Joey, for now, we will be available in the US only to start. As you can imagine, I appreciate your interest. I see the background if you're watching internationally. We definitely do want to expand internationally, most likely to similar markets, economies first, maybe Canada, Mexico, I'm not sure, parts of Europe. But with that, of course, there's a litany of legalities and regulations and currency exchanges. So we want to make sure that we launch first in the US, get that nailed down, and then certainly we want to expand globally and nationally. But imagine a recommendation system right there where the user can see, 13% of users recommend Sticker or recommend GoPuff. 21% of users recommend GoPuff. So as soon as they go into compare apps, like watch, let's find one that we're not really familiar with. Eureka Surveys. That's a perfect example. Eureka Surveys. I don't recommend it whatsoever. Now, I've done a ton of gig work, but I'd be curious to see if you like taking surveys on Eureka. So this might say like 7% of ShiftMate users recommend Eureka. And we'd have to make sure that this would probably be for only premium users to vote on, because then it opens it up to a lot of spam. If anyone and everyone can vote on it, then someone could try to make dupe accounts and stuff like that. We want to make sure that this stays as honest as possible. And of course, someone could pay for an account just to upvote a gig app, but how many separate accounts are they going to pay for, right? And of course, if we see fraudulent behavior, we're going to flag any fraudulent behavior. That's super powerful to give a thumbs up, thumbs down on a gig app, because again, your time is valuable. But if I wanted more info, I could go down here and watch some videos on my experience or even your experience with Eureka or other gig apps. And I say your experience because we do have this self-guided interview right here. So premium users also qualify to earn money. So you do one 10-minute short self-guided interview. You click on start interview, it opens up your camera, and then it gives you questions on the screen, and you just like, hey, do you recommend it? What's the best part about this? What's the worst part? How is the pay? And then we send you $10, which is a free month of premium. And you can do that every quarter. So you can get what? 4 free months? Yes. 4 free months a year if you choose to participate on a self-guided contributor program. Pretty sweet. So with that, that's about the newest that we have right now with ShiftMate. Again, thank you for everyone's interest. Really excited about what we're building here. We're getting new signups every single day. And I'll finish with this. It's my goal to give you a fair platform that's priced fairly, that has exorbitant exponential value for your investments, whatever plan you invest in, to be fair in our return policy, our 30-day money back guarantee, and to be the leader. We want this to be the leader in gig tools and gig apps for you. I'm confident we can do that. I'm already confident, frankly, that this is better than basically anything else out there, because no one has the tools, the metrics, the learning, the earning, and the flexibility like ShiftMate. So I'm super pumped about it. Really excited for that. Yep. Yeah. So Andrew, do you have enough data to determine all this stuff? So imagine when you first start, no. I mean, you have to have a sample size. So as a user, you get out of it what you put into it. So if you drive one shift a month or even 2 shifts a month, our premium option is probably not for you. You probably don't want to get premium if you drive twice a month, or once a month. But any more than that, then you start to get a sample size. Then you start to see some data that you can really learn from. Now you can use a smaller sample size, like 5 shifts, 1 app and stuff like that. But again, it's really going to give you the value that you put into it, the more data that you put into it. But once we do that, once you put data into it, then absolutely, you'll have all that data, the insights of best time to drive. So Luke, thanks for being here. There should be an option to, let me bring it back up here. Go into your market and check on the information for your market. So yes, what you are describing is aggregated data, like kind of audience market data. So I've heard that suggestion and I am definitely open to it when we have more users. So I think we would need at least 1,000 users. I mean, there's millions and millions, there's tens of millions of gig workers. So I think easily, I want to build our community to tens of thousands, ideally in the first year, that'd be great. So once we get to 1,000 users, 10,000 users, then we might look at some aggregated options. So you could go into Pittsburgh, you could go into, areas of Colorado. You can go to San Antonio, you can go to San Diego, and you can see some of that market data. But I'd want to do it in a unique way, because the few other apps that are, frankly, again, they're not similar to ShiftMate, but they're adjacent, but they're still not quite doing it in a way that I think would really capture market opportunities and market data. So I'd want to do it in a way that really stands out. And of course, get feedback from users, because there's something to be said about your data specifically. Marketplace data, it's high level, it's high level. Daniel, so yes, we are releasing for iOS to start. We want to make sure that, we get approved in the Apple App Store. We're submitting next month. Take the whole month, September, clean stuff up, clean things up for Apple, and then we'll be good to go for October. I am looking at launching on Android, maybe Q2, but more realistically, probably Q3 of 2026. I do have a single person dev team. It's one very talented guy, but I've one dev team. This is all self-funded. We could do both to start, but we would probably need at least another 10,000 in capital to invest in this. And this is fully self-funded. If you want to support a small business, a local Pittsburgh business, that's me. It's me and my dev. I do want to take this national and global. I know we can do it, but you just need capital. There's no funding. There's no investors. I want to keep the vision of what we're building here in-house. But it's coming. That's in part why I've been testing iOS. I've been testing iOS for the past like 5 months or so. So I think I got a good feel for that. But we're just cleaning things up for iOS. Very good. So again, I appreciate your interest. I think ShiftMate is, it's the move. It's the best new tool, the best new app for gig workers. And I'm using it myself. I am using what I learned for the past 10 years. Talking with fellow gig workers like you. Love the flexibility that we have. Yeah, that's a fantastic question. Yeah, Andrew asks about language support. That's a fantastic question. Because you're right. Yeah, like a lot of gig workers, maybe their native language is not English. Uzbek, Spanish, Russian. I see a lot of that in Pittsburgh. And similar languages, yes, 100%. We're going to want to add language support. So, just when you sign up, it'll ask you to pick your country and or language. So yeah, I'll talk to my dev about how easy that would be to transition over. We don't have a lot of, well, I guess in our resources, we do have, some English here and stuff like that. We could definitely tool that. All right, very good, folks. Put any other questions in the comment section, and I look forward to joining you on our third roundtable. We're going to do this about bi-weekly, I think, to give you enough time to see improvements and changes to the app here. So I'm thinking bi-weekly. Thanks again. See you very soon.